All right, let's just jump right in. We are about to unpack one of the biggest and maybe one of the quietest financial shifts happening in the world today. We've all been taught to build our net worth, right? But what if? What if the most valuable asset you could possibly own is actually more time? And what if the smartest money on the planet was already placing enormous bets on that very idea?
Just take a second and let that sentence really sink in. Everything we think we know about money, things like retirement, pensions, even the whole idea of a 40-year career, it's all built on one single assumption that just isn't true anymore. Our biology is fundamentally changing, and that's kicking off an economic event that is unlike anything we have ever seen before.
And this is the scale we're talking about. $600 trillion. That's the estimated amount of global capital that's about to get completely reallocated because of this demographic shift. It's a number so huge it almost doesn't feel real, and trust me, it's not going where most people think it is.
So how in the world did we get here? We've all heard that term silver tsunami thrown around for years, right? Some kind of distant threat on the horizon. But here's the thing, it's not in the future. It's happening right now, and it's completely tearing down the old model of how we're supposed to live and work.
For the better part of a century, life followed this super predictable path. It was simple. You learn for about 20 years, you work for about 40, and then you retire. Our entire society was built on this model. Pensions, 401ks, Social Security, the whole shebang assumes this neat, tidy, three-stage progression.
Well, that model is shattered, totally broken. We are moving away from that linear, predictable life and into something way more dynamic, way more extended, a multi-stage life, where someone might go back to school at 45, start a whole new career at 50, or take a few sabbaticals along the way. And this isn't just a social change, it's an economic earthquake.
And that leads us to this really critical idea, the biological cap. Think about it like this. All of our financial systems were built with a certain shelf life in mind for us humans. But now, our biology is blowing way past that expiration date. And that mismatch, that's what's causing the entire system to break. Now, this is the core of the problem for sure, but it's also where the biggest opportunity is hiding.
Okay, so if the old math is broken, what's the new equation? Let's actually look at the formula that these major players, firms like BlackRock, are using to get way ahead of this shift and really position themselves for the next 50 years.
And here it is. This is the crucial point. The big aha moment isn't some magic pill. It's in reframing the entire conversation. See, longevity has stopped being just a medical or a health issue. It is now, fundamentally, an infrastructure and capital issue. The real question is, who is building the world for a 100-year life?
So here's the new formula for wealth in this new world. And it's actually surprisingly simple. Step 1, you add more years of productive, high-functioning work. Step 2, you multiply all those extra earnings by the incredible power of compounding over a much, much longer time. And finally, step 3, you subtract the massive cost of those age-related diseases. The result? That's what we can call your longevity ROI.
And this brings us to the single most important variable in that whole equation, health span. Notice I didn't say lifespan. Health span is the number of years you live in good, functional health. And in this new economic model, adding 10 years of health span is infinitely more valuable than just adding 10 more years to your life. It is the single most valuable asset you can possibly have, period.
Okay, so if time, or more specifically, health span, is the new alpha, how do you actually invest in it? Where is that $600 trillion actually flowing? Let's take a look at the 3 core sectors that are literally building the infrastructure for more time.
The money is pouring into 3 key areas. First, you've got geroscience and biotech, which is focused on the biology of aging itself. Think things like senolytics, which are drugs designed to clear out old junky cells, or NAD+ boosters that help our cells produce energy. Second, longevity real estate. We're talking about entire neighborhoods designed from the ground up to promote health. And third, AI-powered diagnostics that can spot diseases years before you'd ever feel a symptom, flipping medicine from reactive to proactive.
So with all these options, how do investors pick where to put their money? Well, they're using a metric called the efficacy to cost ratio. As you can kind of see here, it's not just about which technology is the coolest or most effective, it's about which one delivers the most health bang for the buck. The investments that have the highest ratio, like AI diagnostics in this example, they're the ones most likely to really succeed and scale for all of us. And that brings us to the final, and I think the most important part of all this. We've been talking about trillions of dollars and huge global trends,
But let's bring this all the way down to a personal level. Because this isn't just about corporations. It's about your most valuable asset.
Look, if you remember just 3 things from our time here, please make it these. Number 1, longevity is the ultimate arbitrage. That massive gap between our old, broken systems and our future biology, that's where all the value is. 2, health span is way more valuable, economically speaking, than lifespan. And 3, the greatest returns of the 21st century probably won't come from the stock market, but from investing in the infrastructure of time itself.
So I'll just leave you with this one question, and it's not hypothetical, not at all. It's the exact calculation that investors and, well, all of us are starting to make right now. For an extra decade of your life, at your absolute peak, healthy, vibrant, and totally capable, what percentage of everything you own would you logically trade for that? The answer to that question, that reveals the true value of the longevity arbitrage.